Hello, and welcome to No Such Thing as a Bad Movie podcast. I'm April Mansky, and I'm here today with...
Justin DeClue.
And Colin Cunningham.
Oh.
Wait, did you guys practice that?
We really didn't. We didn't plan it.
I don't believe you.
No.
We really didn't. So not since Curse of the Wolf, I think, have we done a werewolf movie. We did do an American Werewolf in Paris, but I think that was before that.
Yeah, I think I like this one better.
So this week we're talking about Lycan Colony, a movie from what year?
It's 2006.
2006.
Really?
So kind of
I mean, the effects in it are cutting edge, and I would not know it unless you guys told me.
You would really never know. I mean, it's amazing.
And this kind of blew me away that it was actually on Amazon Prime. I've been looking to get a copy of this movie ever since I saw it, and it's impossible to find. And I just saw some random tweet, somebody talking about it, and like Amazon Prime kind of set me up for, I'm usually disappointed because Canadian Amazon Prime has very different movies than the American one.
It doesn't have what the American has.
But lo and behold, there, so we had to do it.
Yeah, and so the director made this movie not available, so it was sent to Red Letter Media by somebody, and Colin saw it there, and...
we watched it twice. It was sort of between filmings. We kind of watch movies that people have sent just to kind of vet them, see if they'll be good for like an upcoming episode, and we watched this entire thing, and we watched it immediately after, again, with the commentary.
Wait, wasn't the director selling copies of the film for like 10 pieces of gold or something like that on eBay?
Yeah, that was after.
Anyway, so I came back from Milwaukee and I was trying to find this thing. I knew they were going to do an episode on it, but I hadn't, I didn't want word to get out because once they mention these movies, everybody starts buying them up. So I wanted to try to find a copy of it. So I found the director on Facebook. He's actually a writer. He writes like Lycan Colony self-published books.
He does?
Yeah. So I don't know if the movie was based on the book or vice versa.
It all comes from his brain.
Yeah.
Rob Roy, by the way, is his name.
Yeah. So there's an R.G. Roy page on Facebook. So I signed up for it, and then I messaged him directly on Facebook. I said, look, do you have any copies of Lycan Colony? And he's like, no, don't have any copies left, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I'd really like to buy one.
But then wasn't he like, but check out my book?
Yeah, he swore there were no copies left. And then as soon as the Red Letter Media episode came out, of course, everybody wants a copy. So all of a sudden, he contacted me on Facebook. Hey, I found a box of DVDs. And he was selling them on eBay for $60 US.
$60?
Yeah.
People bought them because they wanted to see the movie.
I would not buy one. I'm like, I'm not going to pay that much. This is a big scam.
And that was like a couple years ago, wasn't it?
I think
or like
so, yeah.
a year ago.
But Colin loves his novels, and he bought all of them.
It sounds like they're honestly like Twilight ripoffs. I mean, maybe they're fantasy. They sounded like a YA, novel. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I read YA stuff, but I guess that's what he's doing now.
Yeah, so he writes these novels, and because of the success of the Red Letter Media episode on Lycan Colony, he started posting in the R.G. Roy group again on Facebook saying that he wants to get back into filmmaking, and he's actually directing a new movie.
Great.
It's not Lycan related. I forget what it's called.
I think it's like something disciplines. I was looking at
Disciples,
it today.
Like Dangerous Disciples or something.
That sounds right. Battle between angel and heaven, it sounded like.
Right. So he's posted stills of it. It doesn't look anything like this movie, so we'll see once that comes out.
Well, Lycan Colony is one of those like magic in a bottle things that like you worry when a filmmaker gets this kind of cult appeal and he's like, I'm going to make another movie. You're like, Tommy Wiseau, don't make. What was the Neighbors? Was his sitcom that came out? Yeesh.
Yeah, where they kind of misunderstand what made the original so captivating and popular, and then they try to recreate it and they just fail miserably.
But you can't try and make a bad movie you on the level of The Room.
You have to be wanting to make an amazing movie and you just fail horribly, and that's what makes it so good.
Now, watching something like Lycan Colony, I wonder what did the director think he was going to do with the movie? Was he just going to show it to friends and family? Was he under the assumption that he's like, no, this is good. Someone will pick this up and want to sell it?
I have no idea. I mean,
it feels like the friends and family option, but because like watching this, like it really reminds me of stuff like I made in high school. Like it looks and sounds like a high school level person made this. Although I do think he was ambitious. Like, we got werewolves, we got witches, we got magic.
I was going to say that he is very ambitious, and he stuffs a lot into this movie.
Oh yeah, big time. And he's like, from a technical standpoint, is like almost everything technically about this movie is a complete disaster. Like,
everything from the sound, the photography,
the audio. It sounds like everything was recorded from like camera mic. And we told you, we watched it for the first time last night with subtitles.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't understand or hear any of the dialogue.
It's those thick accents that you can't make out.
I read a review online that someone's like, these are fake New England accents. I'm not so sure.
I don't think so.
They're all master actors. This is a like Matt Farley style, put on.
That's the thing. Matt Farley and the Moturn Media movies, they're from New England, and they don't sound like this. Some people obviously have a heavier accent than others. I guess this was shot somewhere where everybody has a thicker accent.
I don't know if it's everybody or just that one guy.
No, everyone has it to
Dr.
varying
Dan.
degrees.
But we have the opening scene, first of all, and sort of introduces us to a lot of cinematic techniques that we're going to be seeing a lot in this movie. First of all, it's shot day for night.
Oh God!
Hey,
this is one of the better day for night scenes.
As someone who shot a whole movie at nighttime, shoot day for night. Just do it. Put a blue tint on it. It'll make your life that much easier.
Oh, it hurts to your eyes to look at it. Kind of.
And this is the better scene of it. There is a horrible scene later on in the movie that's almost unwatchable.
I mean, by the end, it becomes just expressionistic, and it's like, is it day? Is it night? Is it our reality as we know it? Who knows?
It's also like day for night, like on a green screen. So it's like
at that point you're like, why not just shoot it at night then? Like, just go get some plates.
There's a lot of questions.
Well, why not put a real night background in it and light your actors properly? But I mean, who's to say?
It's not going to look realistic if you do it that way, April. You need the verisimilitude that you get in Lycan Colony.
Well, much like the Room, like rooftop scenes, I think what happened during these outdoor scenes, I think that they shot some of it and they couldn't shoot the rest, so they had to do some in front of green screen, so they're spliced together. Either stuff was missing or it ended up being unusable. Like, that's just the hunch that I get for all these, because it's like, why would you use green screen?
They needed to do like one shot and they couldn't get the actor for that day, or they didn't want to go back out to the forest.
The thing about The Room, though, is those like shots, what people are feeling is a weird like what is it, uncanny valley, because somebody obviously spent like a lot of money on doing those backdrops in The Room, and it just doesn't look right. Yeah, exactly. Now,
I've seen
Colony
much worse.
Is like someone with like Windows Movie Maker for the first time, and they're like, look at all these effects, and it doesn't cost me anything. Wow.
So this whole scene, it's like three hunters chasing a child through the nighttime forest?
Day for night woods.
Day for night, yeah.
And then we're introduced to something, and then they're surrounded. You can hear them off screen, this howling. We're introduced to another thing, which is only one sound effect is used, and it is used over and over again. It doesn't matter what it is. In this case, it's like howling wolves that are surrounding the but you'll hear the same howl sound effect over
Where's
and over
your
and
pack
over.
now?
Well, it's hard to find more than one sound in a sound effects library, which I'm sure they didn't have access to a library.
2006? Yeah, they probably had like whatever sound effect they could find on. Man, I don't even know, because YouTube didn't exist at that point, did it?
It just started at that point.
I had access to sound effects libraries back in the 90s. They were called CD sound effects libraries. You could.
Do you think these New England folk could get access to those CDs? You're a big city film person, Colin. You worked on RoboCop the series.
I used to work at a library, and they would actually stock sound effects CDs that I would just take home and, like, you know.
That's kind of surprising to me. I just didn't know that libraries had, but maybe only the fancy Toronto libraries.
This was like,
Exactly.
this is back in the late 80s.
Sound effects where the streets were paved with them. Sound effects CDs.
But the funny thing was they had sort of like English speaking ones, and then they had this sort of set of German sound effects.
Okay.
Their trains don't sound the same over in Germany.
Oh, okay.
But they had one that was just all porno sound effects.
This was at the public library.
This is the public
Wait, were you
library.
looking up like Shiza stuff and you're like, ooh, sound
No.
effects?
Well, because it was
I don't
all
even know
written
what
in
that
German.
is.
I didn't know what was on these things, so I just
Don't go
played
look
them,
it up, April, please.
and played them on my my home stereo system, and then it got to this one just to hear what they were, and then
Yeah.
I would
Oh my God.
I played this one, and it was just like like groaning sounds
In German.
with German accents.
Okay.
Asian.
What? This sounds like something that like Colin just made up.
No,
like his
I'm
parents
serious.
caught him listening to porno sounds, and he's like, "I was getting sound effects from the library, and I was in the
It is
German
a-
section because I was practicing my German."
It is a little bit of a far-fetched story, but hey, I believe you.
I am not lying. This actually happened.
But yeah, so this opening scene sets up the plot, and there is a plot in this movie of these three hunters that go missing.
Well, first we get
supposedly for werewolf reasons.
First, we get predator vision.
Of course, we can't have a movie like this and not have POV with the bright green.
Like the kind of like heat vision. It's
Yeah.
supposed to imply that you're seeing from the wolf's POV, but the thing is, none of the camera shots are actually from the wolf's POV.
Of course not.
So it's like they've kind of like shot the scene and then decided to add this afterwards, even though it didn't make sense. So like they're not chasing the people, they're not doing anything. It's just shots of them looking around.
How
Which is
hard
like-
would it have been for someone just to run through a forest and just
Yeah,
slap that
it's-
POV filter on? Wait, I think there's like a weird assumption in this opening scene as well that like lasers can be shot out of the werewolf's eyes. Or something like that's happening, right? Because
Oh,
the
you know
main
what it
hunter's
is.
like, oh!
It's the CG blood.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
what again reminds me of a movie I made in high school. I mean, I didn't make it. Justin, your partner Emily, made it. But she would just draw blood in like paint over the frame.
Yeah, so
and
it's-
that's what this looked like.
Yeah, the kid changes into a werewolf and then bites the guy's leg, and it's like a geyser of particle blood comes out, but it's bright red.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like
Oh,
a
boy.
laser against the dark, quote
So-
unquote, night sky.
Before we get into the werewolf material, is this director a furry?
I think that he maybe knows someone who's a furry
Because
because
that looks like the
werewolf-
costumes that they're wearing, right? Or like furry costumes.
Well, the thing is, like from what I've seen, online, they're usually more cartoony looking. Like,
Yeah, the faces are. But it
yeah,
looks
they're
like the
big.
the suits that they're wearing.
Pottersville, they look more like that.
Right.
But the body of the later werewolf is like plushy and furry and
Yeah.
has abs.
the big gray one they fight in
Yeah.
the woods. Yeah. That's kind of broaching.
Does he
furry
write
territory.
erotic werewolf fiction? I feel like this could be
don't
answered very
know.
quickly by writing it. I would probably lean towards yes.
I don't know. It's a good question. I've never read any of them.
If anyone wants to read one of R.G. Roy's possible erotic fiction, get back to us.
Yeah, you can go into the Facebook group. You can just download them for your Kindle, or
Oh.
bring
A
Canada
1,000
Kobo.
pages. No, I don't know how long they are.
That's what happens when you self-publish. They don't have an editor to cut that
You don't
stuff down.
need. R.G. Roy does not need an editor.
Yeah, it just flows completely perfect from his fingertips.
Yeah, he just goes into like this trance, and then he wakes up, and then a novel has been written.
Yeah,
on
he's
his
covered in
computer.
blood and like feces, and there's like a novel written in that
in a-
blood and feces.
He's in a furry costume, and he's like, "Oh, what did I do?" What
And then
happened?"
he looks at a news report, and they're like, "Bigfoot has been spotted in town."
Also, Lycan Colony, new novel out.
Yeah, actually, this movie has a lot to do with a lot of different movies we've talked about. I mean, it starts off very similar to Phobe. This is like the anti-Phobe.
The
It's very-
anti-phobe.
Well, I just feel like it doesn't have as much heart as Phobe had.
Well, everybody in the right after the opening, we get some credits, and then we meet the lovable family that I guess are kind of the protagonists of the movie.
Dr. Dan.
We have an issue with this movie where it's like half the movie is the family and Dr. Dan, and then it switches to the brother and sister, the sister, like bounty hunter or hunter characters.
Yeah, and they kind of get pushed aside. There's a lot of characters kind of coming and going in this.
It's probably because the director was like, these actors who are not paying don't want to show up anymore. So new characters are going to be the main characters from now on.
Now you're the main character. So we're introduced to Dr. Dan, and
you know what? I want to reach through the screen and be like, guys, you got to set your white balance. It doesn't need to be orange like this.
It's like that the whole movie.
Yeah, it seems like every scene is like kind of monochrome.
And you can tell that they shot with one light because everybody is like blasted with light and have long shadows.
Yeah, and they kind of go into a bar later and everything just turns solid red almost. It's like,
Or maybe they're inspired by Steven Soderbergh in Traffic and just pushing those colors as far as they go.
Right.
Now we're in Mexico.
Oh yeah, which is red, which is evil, just like Mexico. Ooh, boy.
But Dr. Dan's New England accent, holy cow. I think it's like his first line, his son is coming down the stairs and trips and falls. And he says, "Miss ya marks too?"
Yeah, it's a very, very...
Been there, done that, son.
hard to understand.
There's some real Moturn style dialogue in this, like the Matt Farley film, where they're like, yes, we had to leave because your father was a drunk, and when he got that liquor in him and he did a brain operation, a slip of the scalpel caused us to move.
What a joke. Ha! Like that. But the thing is, I think that people are reading their lines and they're not putting the emphasis on things correctly. They're just reading them without thinking about what they're saying. And I think that's part of the reason, at least, why they sound so weird.
There's a couple of actors, especially the wife in this opening scene. It's like, she's probably never acted before, but it's like, surely you know how this sentence should be said.
Yes, but in her defense,
I didn't mean to call you Shirley.
I've been on shoots where I agreed to play a part in a sketch and I didn't read the script before I got there.
Yeah.
So you're trying to remember your lines, and actors are really good. It's really hard to remember your lines and act at the same time if you don't have it memorized.
Oh, for
so
sure.
I have a feeling that this is what was going on, and partially why the acting is also so bad.
And the dialogue is very wordy, like lengthy paragraphs filled with weird cutaways or just plain jump cuts, like a French New Wave film in the middle of the scene.
There are so many jump cuts in this movie. It's just like, I don't know if they just shot a bunch of takes all in one go without cutting, and then they just cut a scene together with just a single shot, so they kind of jump around in the timeline.
Dr. Dan, it's very clearly established, is that like he murdered someone because he was drunk during an operation. That doesn't matter. You never really have to think about it again.
Seemingly doesn't really care. He's just like, we had to leave town and now we're living in Lycan Colony.
We had to flee town, son.
Whatever the name of the town is in this.
Yeah, so the wife kind of implies or just says right out to the son, hey, your dad's an alcoholic. And the son says, I knew. Dad would always get wasted. They're like, well, you might be wondering why we had to move to this small town.
Yeah.
And the wife is like, we used to live in the hills. Now look at him. Big hotshot doctor. Ha!
Yeah, it's quite the dialogue scene.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Dan goes and takes the garbage out. And he is instantly surprised by a guy who's like, hey, I'm your sponsor, and if you don't show up, I'm going to drop you.
I love the sponsor jumping out from the shadows, which maybe that is what sponsors do.
Well, there is one.
We don't know that yet.
There is one thing that happens in that garbage scene that you see a lot in this movie, is that the music will just stop instantly in the middle of a shot or a scene.
Well, sometimes it cuts away to a different scene that's happening at the same time, but other times, it just stops.
And it's
randomly.
not like the music kind of finishes naturally. It's like, no, the waveform is just cut in the middle of whatever.
It's probably a mistake.
Listen, he didn't know exponential fade or how to use it.
No, it's just like, and then music will start and stop again. And then you'll get the odd sort of cut, like an insert shot, but it's only there for like 10 frames or 12 frames.
There's a lot of shots of just like the side of someone's head during a conversation, and then it like jumps back to like a wide shot.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing of beauty, the editing in this movie.
Yeah. And now we get to, speaking of day for night, it's funny that the trash scene where he goes to take garbage out, that's actually nighttime.
Yeah, there is some night in this movie.
And then we cut to the son, Stu. He goes to his bedroom to do, what angsty teens do.
Listen to new
guitar. Play the guitar. But we get like a lengthy scene of him in the bathroom. I don't know what he's doing. He's like moosing.
I can explain to you off air what boys do in the bathroom, Colin.
he's like moosing up his hair and he's listening to this rock music, which is, I gotta say, my favorite thing is just the soundtrack. And it's just like nonstop rock tracks that have very, very on the nose dialogue.
There's some folk stuff too, but it's like, I think they were all written for the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're all seemingly by different bands if you look at the credits.
But we saw Rob Roy's band.
Rob Roy did some music, of course. I mean, that's also a staple of the low budget bad movie.
But it's called the Rob Roy Band, which is really funny. Anytime I hear
He
Rob
loves the historical character that was portrayed in Rob Roy, the classic Liam Neeson picture.
Robert Roy McGregor.
That's a Western?
Right. No, it's an old-timey Scottish movie.
Oh, I thought Rob Roy was a cowboy.
No, you're thinking of Will Rogers.
I guess. I heard Rob Roy and my head just went to cowboy.
I just keep thinking of Liam Neeson in a kilt.
Yep, sword fighting. Who's the villain in that movie? I don't remember.
Oh, it was, from King Kong, the 70s King Kong.
Jeff Bridges,
Jessica
the
Lange.
monkey,
Jessica
Dino
Lange.
De Laurentiis.
God almighty. When people see the Rob Roy die, they're going to cry.
All right, so back to the movie. The young kid who has so many wolf posters on his wall.
I didn't even
notice that either.
Yeah,
but that's
he has
great
wolf
set
posters
design.
on his wall.
But this scene, I guess it's supposed to be nighttime. This is the worst by far day for night in the entire movie. It's almost unwatchable.
Pitch black.
Cannot
half
tell.
the scene is the frame is black.
Yeah, everything is either pitch black or bright blue.
Yeah. And then the neighbor, I guess she is, or some neighborhood girl, climbs in through the window, a 90s staple,
As they do.
But we should point out that this is like someone that he does not know. She's like, welcome
not
to the,
yet.
welcome
But
to the Lycan Colony.
She's just so casual about it that I initially thought that, they're friends or something.
Yeah, I
like
thought that too, but I guess not, no, because he doesn't know who she is.
What would you do if you moved somewhere, April, and just a man came in through the window?
I
and he's
would
like, hey, what's up?
call the police. I would be so scared.
Does it happen to anybody in real life?
Well, my window was not like adjacent to a tree, so it's not like someone could climb a tree and get into my window. Like it happens in movies all the time.
Did you ever get like a rock thrown at your window, like a little signal?
No.
Like, April, let's go out to party.
When I was quote unquote partying, I had cell phones, so they would just text me or call me. No one would.
I was thinking about when I grew up. We just had rocks.
Did you ever do that, Colin? Be like, hey, The Little Rascals is in theaters. Let's go check it out.
I can't ever remember.
Yeah, the 90s Little Rascals.
I remember like sneaking out of my bedroom window from time to time.
You did?
How'd you get out? Like,
it wasn't a very high house. It was just, you could easily just drop down into the backyard.
Thanks, Spider-Man. Everybody gets one.
Yeah, and you could, climb up as well. You could kind of reach it and just like, and the parents were sound asleep. I hope they don't listen to this podcast.
Well, that's
we knew it all the time.
You were living the dream.
I remember sometimes we'd climb out a friend's back window when his parents came over or came home. And he wasn't supposed to have any friends over, and he's like, "Shit! Like, get out the window!" So
did you have to like hide in corners as the dad comes in? He's like, "I want to talk to you, son," and you have to like hide around the room every time he looks and stuff like that.
We'd hide under the bed, and then a sword would come through the mattress.
No, they start having sex on the bed. I don't know why. Your parents,
I was
mom
gonna
and dad.
say, like, what do you live in, like a 90s sitcom? But sword through the bed. Now it's a horror movie.
That's more like Friday the 13th.
No, it's like
but two people are still having sex on top of the bed.
You go into a pile of hay in the corner, and then you get out the pitchfork and you poke the hay just to make sure no one was
Where
there.
are you living? You live in big city Toronto, Colin.
Yeah, this didn't happen to everybody. What the hell? Oh, okay. Well, maybe it's just me.
Yeah, just you. So getting back to the movie, a relationship forms between this young boy and young woman, and the young woman is very forceful.
Oh yeah, she hits on him immediately, and then they go off for as you do, a nighttime jaunt in the cemetery.
And I think the moon is rising, so the woman gets a little excited.
Yeah, so they kind of start making out. And as the shot of them, there's a lengthy scene of them kind of running around the cemetery. And,
it's so good. They run for so long.
And it goes on. And there's this ADR kind of giggling and laughing.
The ADR is obnoxious.
Like, cha-la-la.
There is so much ADR in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And like a lot of it is just stock sound effects. Like there's a shot of the mother snoring, and it's just like
Yeah, the sound effect was also mixed way too loud, and she sounded like she was like the Jack the Giant Killer, the sleeping giant.
Oh, okay.
At one point, Jack and the Beanstalk, as opposed to the classic film of He Who Shall Not Be Named.
Classic Bryan Singer movie.
Oh no, you said his name.
That?
Yeah.
Don't say it 2 more times or he'll appear.
Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, the sound in this is like classic. You know, the person doesn't know what they're doing. So there was like one cut where it cut to like a car peeling out that I literally jumped up in the air like it was a horror movie because it was so loud.
Yeah, it's mixed so loudly.
I hope you weren't wearing headphones.
Yeah,
Nope.
the mom's snoring is so funny. And again, it's just the one sound effect just repeated over and over. Like you couldn't just record somebody on the cam mic or something like that. I don't know. Very strange.
No, couldn't. Isn't the production company called like it's a really funny name? It's like we just want this to be over Productions or something like that. Oh, it's like End of Their Wits Production. I think.
Oh, Wits End Production.
Wits End Production. So you can tell by the time this movie was done, they're like, I just don't want to do this anymore.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could see that being the case. But yeah, so she bites him and he freaks out. He's like, "Whoa. I think the drawing blood is a little too much." She's like, "Sorry, I just got excited. Let's go home."
His reaction, though, he keeps going. He's like, "Jeez,
yeah,
you bit me."
He seemed very unexcited about anything.
Yeah. Gosh, can't believe you bit me.
So wait, while this is going on, his dad is going to an AA meeting where we get hilarious comedy featuring alcoholics, I guess.
Well, this is one of the like 4-frame establishing shots, right, of like the church where it's like it's so fast. It's like what the fuck was that? Okay,
it almost feels like a mistake in the edit, like a shot that got left in or something.
There's a lot of things that seem like mistakes in this movie.
Yeah, and this scene, I guess, is in the church basement. This scene changes aspect ratios depending on the shot.
So many times. I was watching it at home trying to fix it. Be like, I think that the whole movie is in 235, isn't it? And that's not the right aspect ratio. It should be 16:10.
I think so. So like a couple shots are squished, so everybody looks really.
You said aspect ratio, so I was thinking like, oh, it goes from letterbox to full frame, but no, it gets squished and stretched.
But it's like they took a full frame and squashed it into instead of cropping off. So for some reason, and then so everybody in the town is drinking water, it seems, in this scene, which is kind of a setup for later. But then there's a couple at the front. It looks like they're in front row that pull out like a flask of whiskey and start drinking it right in front of everybody.
That's the joke.
Yeah, but then later there you find out a little more about what's going on. Right. I won't spoil the ending, folks.
We'll get to it. We'll spoil the ending. But then we go to one of my favorite scenes, which is after the Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. Dave, which is Dr. Dan's sponsor, takes Dr. Dan to a bar.
Zed's bar, which is like the friendliest part of the city, I guess. I mean, Zed is like there as well. And he's like, welcome, welcome, which is really funny considering how evil he turns out to be in 5 minutes.
Yeah, he looks like a miniature Peter Mayhew.
He does look like a miniature Peter Mayhew.
That's all I can think of when I see him. And he's wearing this like sleeveless shirt. And he's being really creepy. He's like smelling Dr. Dan and stuff like that when he's not looking.
Could he be a werewolf? Whoa. Who knows?
So there's some banter there. They order a steak. And this is another hilarious line that I guess the camera mic or the ADR is just cranked up so much. And he's like, how's the steak, Dr. Dan? And he's like, awesome.
I just remembered it when you said it.
But it's just like the mic just
we look like the guy on that audio CD, like our tie's blown back, our hair's blown back. I love the director being like, the scene's just not working. We need to punch it up with something. Crank that volume 20 decibels. We need to hear
They really want us to know that his steak is really good.
Which I just realized this time watching it with subtitles that we reveal later that the steak is actually human.
Wait, you didn't catch that part? Oh, I caught it while I was watching it this time.
But did you have the subtitles on?
No, I went in bareback, no subtitles.
How could you understand anything?
Yeah,
I am a master of accents, as any regular listener to this podcast will know.
Are you a master of good sound mixing and being able to hear dialogue? I guess you are.
And so at this point, they meet the brother and sister Marines.
I guess so.
Yeah, there's some kind of military people.
And they can tell by the paint tattoo on the back of their neck.
The CGI tattoo.
Okay,
on the back of his neck.
There's like two really, really funny VFX back to back in this scene. It's, hey, what's that on your neck? And it's just like a freeze frame, and they like superimposed like a picture. I can't even describe it. Like, you just have to see it.
Yeah, there's kind of like a tattoo that's on the guy's back that kind of tracks with him, but not really.
Yeah. And then there's a locket that has a famous saying in it that they repeat back and forth. It was, I think, their dad's.
Yeah.
And it's just a freeze frame again. And like,
couldn't they get a close up of a locket that they just like wrote on it or something?
I know.
Or a tattoo. Like,
yeah.
you could just draw something on the back of the guy's neck.
I know.
Or, I don't know.
the locket, like, they freeze frame it, and then it's like in Times New Roman, they just wrote on it the poem.
Right, yeah.
It's the most insane thing I've ever seen in a movie made by adults.
It's just one of those things. Do you think like the effects guy, who I assume is Rob Roy, is just getting
guaranteed
really overconfident in what he can pull off? It's like, we'll just CG that in, no problem.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post, baby. I mean, like, this whole, like, the style of the movie, for people who haven't seen clips of it, it's like the camera weighs 300 pounds as well. It's all handheld. And it's like as if it's going to tip over at any second. Like, they're like, hey, what's going on? Or they're drunk. I don't know.
A little bit of both. Bit of column A, bit of column B.
Like, I'm anti tripods because it takes so much time to set up. But, like, try to keep the camera still with your hands.
Yeah.
I don't like handheld that seems like they're moving it like unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? You can get the handheld. I can't remember what it was I was watching the other day. It was some like dialogue scene in a movie, and it was just like, oh, I know what it was. It was burlesque. Don't watch that movie, people. But it's just like, it's drifting all over the place. It's making me sick.
Right.
It's like, come on.
Is the director like, oh man, I gotta check my phone? No, gotta keep it on the scene. And that happened every time they did a shot.
Yeah.
I guess so, yeah. But
it's just, you're able to blast through the shots quicker. I don't know. Who knows if it's
so
handheld.
At this point, though, there's a big reveal where I guess Zed, who runs the diner, drops a locket that the Marine people recognize as the one of their
dads. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're looking for their dad, and I assume that he's one of the hunters in the opening
He was,
sequences.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And Zed is guilty instantly, and he's like, "Oh no!" Turns into a werewolf, and
yeah, they grab him, and then he goes, "Mistake."
Mistake. Again, this scene kind of has like all the best stuff in the movie. I mean, there's wacky stuff later, but
Yeah.
this has all like
later in the movie. It's
stuff.
kind of like the ending of 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's just like images coming at you, and you're like, "Oh, this doesn't really make any sense," but okay.
Yeah, I mean, later in this scene, because a fight happens.
Oh, does it
and,
ever?
Dr. Rob, is that his name?
Dr. Dan.
Dr. Dan.
Dr. Dan.
He like is supposed to fall through the floor, but they couldn't really shoot that, so they like shoot the basement ceiling, and they kind of superimposed him falling, but he's just like crouched on the ground, like
I was
away
so
from the
confused
ceiling.
what happened. I'm like, did he just teleport somewhere?
But
Yeah.
yeah. Like, is there a trap door
I
under
think
the
that
bar?
was
Is
the
that what they're
idea.
supposed to-
I think that was the idea.
Do bars have that?
And I love how Dr. Dan just like runs away in the middle of like a fight scene going on between the mercenary woman and the werewolf. Oh, we should point out, we said that the werewolves are furry in this movie. They're also naked with a wolf's head but painted black.
Yeah, that's the other look.
That's the kind of cheaper look. They want to save like the good costume for the end. That's the big
Is
reveal.
it cheaper? Because someone had to be painted black for that.
You can get some black paint, a can of spray paint. It's like $5.
Yeah.
okay.
And I mean,
A can of
They
permanent toxic
painted
spray
him.
paint.
Yeah,
Oh,
with
boy.
spray paint. Hold your breath and close your eyes.
For how long? Like 20 minutes.
yeah.
And then, so this fight scene is insane.
What do we think about this fight scene? Good, bad? How's the choreography?
It's it's kind of hilarious. It's like a combination of all the things in this one scene of like really bad sound effects, strange kind of sped up motion. It looks like a lot of the werewolves.
There's a lot of like Benny Hill looking stuff.
Yeah, like they're swiping at people with like dog sounds. I think they're barking or something like that. And so Dr. Dave ends up in the basement. Dr. Dan.
Who knows?
He ends up in the basement and he ends up finding all the dead bodies of the hunters at the beginning in the freezer. And then it's sort of revealed that, they've been eating humans.
Because before this, they all eat dinner, and they all ate human meat.
This doesn't matter. It doesn't play into anything.
No,
it's just a shock moment.
The guy that had salad, he's like, well, except you. He's the one who ends up getting bitten by a werewolf. So it doesn't even make the point. I guess it was just supposed to be like he's a creepy dude who wants to eat flesh. He can't help it.
This film is very pro cannibalism.
Yeah, but if he wants to eat flesh, why is he serving it to his customers? Maybe because his customers are also werewolves.
It's possible. So
it is a Lycan Colony.
Yeah, if you will.
If you will. Yeah, it's not an official title. It's, just what the local folks call it.
From what I gathered, I think Zev has his sort of wolf pack, living in the town that want to like feed on humans.
They're the bad wolves.
Dave, the AA sponsor, who is revealed later is also a werewolf.
Oh, in the best scene where, like, at one point they're like, what are we going to do if the werewolves come? He's like, no problem. And his eyes turn like yellow.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing. I love it when a character's eyes goosebump out like the dog in the Goosebumps opening credits, where it's like,
That happens later in the scene with the teenage son where he's turning into a werewolf.
Oh, it does.
And it's like, it's literally just like yellow.
Yeah.
I think they give him contacts, don't they?
They give him contacts and they also give him really funny looking teeth.
So from this scene, what ends up happening is we see like the boy turn into a werewolf because he was bitten.
Right.
How do you guys think it compares to American Werewolf in London?
It's pretty on par.
Yeah.
I think Rick Baker did this one, right, too?
Yeah, and he gets the same like, I just have a Halloween mask and I'm shirtless.
But and it's a very extended scene as well, set to, again, very on the nose like rock music.
Well,
you're turning into a werewolf.
We could read the lyrics because we had the subtitles on, so it made it funnier. Did you already say you liked the music, Colin?
I did.
Okay, well, I'll think of something else.
Yeah, you got some time.
But there's a lot of the mom in this scene where she's like hiding in the bathroom and the werewolf is like in front of her face and like almost biting her but not biting her. It's supposed to be like horror-y, but
yeah, so this is the son kind of chasing her through the house. And then at one point, she locks herself in the bathroom but then goes to look through the keyhole in the bathroom, but the bathroom door clearly does not have a keyhole. It's just like one of those.
What are you gonna do? It was in the script.
You gotta use your power of imagination, Colin.
Oh no, they show it.
Yeah.
They show a POV scene of her looking through a keyhole. And then he kind of bursts in like the sun. And then he's like, he's smelling her really close. And you're like, oh no. And then he's like, Mom?
Yeah.
Wait, which one of you went, oh no? Was it you, Colin?
That was me. Oh no. I'd already seen it like twice before.
So Dr. Dan comes home, right? And
yeah.
They had to leave the brother character in the bar because he got all bitten up, right?
Oh no, his neck got cut.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had to
do something, Dr. Dan! This giant neck wound. He's like,
all right, well, we got to apply some pressure here with this napkin.
It's clearly fucked up. And also, Dr. Dan is convinced that this is all just a dream.
He keeps closing his eyes. It's like, it's a figment of my imagination.
Yeah, and this goes into the rest of the movie for him.
Yeah, he's
this
convinced
whole next scene.
Yeah, he's convinced that it's like a side effect of quitting the booze.
Yeah, which is like, how long ago did you quit drinking? And you just randomly think you're having an episode right now? Okay.
It feels like everything just immediately started, right? As soon as the movie started.
They just moved there.
They just moved to town. He just quit drinking.
They didn't exist before the movie started. I hate to break it to you guys. Like they were just brought into existence the second your eyes. It's like Schrodinger's werewolf.
Yes.
It only exists if you look at it.
Only existed as soon as R.G. Roy came out of his trance. In his furry
every time you say RG Roy, I'm like, I should go by RGB or something like that.
Well, isn't RB G is Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah.
It makes me think of that. RGB is the red, green, blue.
Mm-hmm. So wait, how does the mercenary woman meet a werewolf again? Because she gets one under gunpoint and they end up...
Yeah, well, she escapes the bar fight by jumping through a CGI glass window.
What? That was a CGI glass window?
Yeah.
How could you tell?
I don't know.
It was glorious.
I've worked in the industry for a while, so I've got an eye for these things.
So do you think that Rob Roy would like put on the poster, there's 1,000 VFX shots in this movie, in the way that like some big movies talk about?
Yeah.
IML did the effects. Wait, don't you mean ILM?
No.
So she escapes. She gets in her car and then drives off with Dave, the AA sponsor.
Also a werewolf.
Also a werewolf.
He reveals to himself to be a werewolf.
Yeah, she gets a flat tire and then he lifts up the car, revealing his werewolf powers. And then they all decide just to meet back at Dr. Dan's house for one of the longest exposition scenes you'll ever see.
And there's the most casual reveal of all the characters. They like walk in and Dr. Dan walks in, he's like, hello. His wife walks in, she's like, hello. And then the werewolf boy's like, "Rawr."
And she's like, he's my son, don't shoot him. Like, it's like my family with a werewolf son kind of. It's like it's a sitcom or something.
Yeah, so nobody seems surprised at all that there's, werewolves everywhere. And then I guess Dave reveals that the water in the town, it was like the town was built on this mountain spring that has silver in it, which keeps all of their werewolf abilities at bay or something like that. So
everyone in the town is a werewolf?
I guess so. And I guess they have to, it's revealed later that they kind of have to stay in this mountain region or else they'll like lose their powers.
And that's why all the people at the AA meeting were chugging water.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah. I'm assuming
because I think the water keeps the wolf side under control.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they get water from the sink and then they give it to the son and then he changes back into a human.
But yeah, this sequence goes on forever and there's some really funny dialogue. We could never get through it all because it's all so hilarious. Just the way that they're talking and
very nonchalantly.
Yeah.
Like it's not that big a deal, lots of funny cutaways to like people's back of heads who are not talking.
Yeah. And then Dave is explaining everything. They sit down at the dining room table and he's explaining everything to everybody there. But you can see behind the girl's head, so he's reading.
Of course.
Someone's hand is in frame with the script. And it's in frame and he's reading the dialogue right off of that. And then at one point, he says we can peacefully coexist with the normies, like the normal people.
The normies.
And he says, if the fucking damn Amish can do it, why can't us?
There's a really funny line earlier, too, that he clearly gets the word wrong, but it's just in the movie.
Yeah, he says the silver in the water he means to say medicinal purposes. Right. But he says municipal purposes.
And it's just in the movie.
It also has municipal purposes because it's helping the entire town.
It is helping the municipality of Lycan.
But it's just, if the fucking damn Amish can do it, why can't us?
Yeah, so that's grammatically incorrect.
I'm a brain doctor.
Yeah.
End up in the movie.
So basically what's happening with the plot is they're going to go after the bad werewolves with the help of the female military girl whose name is Russ, Russ.
Right.
And I think that it was in the credits that she was originally supposed to be a male character.
Or one of the commentary tracks or something.
Yeah,
like
she showed up. That's why she has a male name, so she's just in the movie. But she might be the best actress in the movie, and she's not even good.
No, everybody is just so
harsh.
Yeah,
harsh.
I'm sorry. Well, the witch is okay. We'll get to her in a few scenes. To the
witch yet.
But now I think is the dream sequence,
which goes nowhere.
And comes out of nowhere.
So like this is why it makes me think of like, is this like an erotic thing, or because isn't it the AA sponsor werewolf is like, we don't eat human flesh because we use our imagination.
Oh, is that what it's for?
What does that mean?
And then it cuts to them eating like human flesh for like 10 minutes.
I think it's Dr. Dan on the table.
Yeah, so I assumed it was
down.
His nightmare.
I don't know because it cuts away right from the
him talking to him at the table and they're all eating him.
Yeah, and it's like the same camera angles and everything.
Yep.
So it's is this implying it's very strange.
Did you ever see the movie The Collapsed?
No.
Yes.
There's a dinner scene, dream sequence exactly like that in that movie, where the family is sitting there and then they're all eating, and then it starts getting gross and disgusting, and it's like scary, supposedly. It reminded me of that.
Sounds like a Rob Zombie movie.
No, it's a little lower budget Canadian movie.
Corpses.
I'm sure that happens in a lot of things.
Wait, does every Rob Zombie movie have a theme song? It's like, what are his other ones?
Devil's
Rejects.
He's
Halloween
a musical star.
remake.
Yeah.
So wait, you guys got to take the plot here, because I got real lost, because they end up going to visit a witch, and then she tells a long backstory of how the werewolves came to be.
It's really, really boring. Well, they go to the witch, and she's just like a normal older lady. She lives on a farm, clearly. And I think that's just that woman's house, like that actress's house.
Yeah, she's not really that old, though.
Well, she does have gray hair, and
how can you tell with this photography?
She has huge gray roots, and I resent the depiction of people with gray hair and white hair always being depicted as witches.
I hate people with gray hair. They're the worst.
Oh my God.
Wait, are you?
Oh no! I just looked at myself in the mirror.
Yeah.
Is April saying that she's a witch or that she has gray hair?
Well, Colin, Justin has gray hair too.
Oh.
Yes.
Everyone has gray hair except you.
Colin is gray hair blind. He just can't tell.
But like the witch is kind of chewing the scenery a little bit. She meets David, who she calls David, and she gives him a wet willy. And it's like disgusting.
I think it's to imply that she's sucking in his memories.
Yes, she does things with her tongue. Again, like this is like a porno without the sex scenes, kind of. Like her tongue has magic power.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh my God.
She's kind of hamming it up.
That's the tagline. Her tongue has magic powers. Rated X.
So then there's so much exposition. There's a flashback, and then she again explains everything about how this sort of Lycan town.
And they very respectfully portray the indigenous people. That, right, guys?
Yeah.
No,
and again, it looks like a school project with these like stick figures.
Yeah, there's some really
slightly
funny,
animated.
Yeah, like animated cave paintings or something that are really, but they're like little stick figures running around.
This cost us $10,000.
Yeah. And I don't really remember exactly what the whole lore story was, but basically there's a tribe of native werewolves. What more do you need?
Yeah, exactly. And the shaman, because the whole tribe turned into werewolves, and then the shaman decided that, the werewolves respect nature and all this sort of stuff. So as long as they stay in this vicinity, they'll be immortal, like they won't age or anything like that.
Right.
But as soon as they leave, then all their powers will disappear and they'll die just like everybody else does.
Yeah, and then it's the showdown in the woods, right?
Oh my God.
Green woods.
Wait, I have a question for Colin.
Yeah.
How long would something like this, like glass breaking, take to render in 2005?
It depends.
Assuming on a home computer.
Like you're watching the scene where she breaks through the window?
Yeah, like something like that. How long would it take to render? Because I remember when I was a teenager and we went to computer camp, my cousin did like just a fountain, and it took like 24 hours to render.
Oh, yeah.
And when it was finished, the fountain was like poo colored.
Oh.
And he was like, shit.
That wasn't intentional?
Literally. No, it was not intentional.
Simulations can take a while. Anything with water or fire or glass. In this case, you have to like break the glass, then you have to simulate something going through it, then you have to shade it properly and light it properly.
Well, now that's just an After Effects plugin. I did that recently. It renders in like a minute.
Yeah, this looks like something that was just an effect that you could purchase online or something like that.
Yeah, but even so, it probably still would have taken a lot of time to render that, right?
Not if it was a pre-rendered element.
Oh, no? Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it would just have a mask on it, I guess, to make it like, see-through, and you just insert it on your scene.
Yeah, you put it to screen, I think, in After Effects.
Ooh, well, speaking of screens, this is the scene where they, for some reason, have half the shots in green screen and the background is just what they shot before.
It's just like a
it's
frame.
the woods, the day for night woods.
Yeah.
Oh, is the frame even moving?
I would say there's more
I
than
don't think
half.
it was.
More than half are on green screen.
I would say 8 tents. Let's get very specific.
Yeah, and then there's like this badass music playing, and it's just like the same gunshot sound over and over.
I have a question. Is it actually badass
Yeah,
because you
man.
love new metal, April?
Well, they are
could
fighting,
be.
and it's like, I think it's I will devour you.
Yeah. Again, I was really reminded of like Len Kabaczynski.
Yes.
Only
Oh.
Len's movies.
Don't drag his name
I
into
know
this.
Len's movies are way better because there's actually fight choreography. This is just shooting, and I mean, yes, Len's movies are not perfect, but they're way more competent than this.
Yeah, this scene is like a green screen nightmare, and it goes on and on and on, and it's to the point where they'll cut away from certain things and cut to another shot, but then the background will remain the same.
Yeah.
So the green screen background will be identical, and it's so confusing. So the characters will all of a sudden just change position.
And you have no idea what's going on either.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, what is the geography of the scene?
Yeah.
Who is fighting in this scene?
Screw geography. Forget about it.
Okay.
I don't need to know where the Antarctic is.
Doesn't
Screw
matter.
geography.
I think my favorite thing, other than like basically the entire bar scene, is I'll go with the furry looking fursuit, because there's a very long extended scene where David is turning into a werewolf, and it goes on for like 10 minutes.
Oh, with like the native
and he's
chanting
doing
and
a
stuff like
native
that.
chant, which, I mean, it seemed a little culturally offensive.
Although
You
he
can
had a
remove
native
that
tattoo
scene
on him.
He
from
could
that, yeah.
he could be that, Native
Sure.
American, but the point is he's just like like turning into a werewolf for a really long time.
It's like a really constipated,
Yeah.
He looks like he's
And
trying
then
to force one
he
out.
turns into this fluffy kind of looking, werewolf that's also buff, but
But then he's killed immediately.
yeah, that's what's so weird.
So then the brother, so the Marine brother that we thought was killed earlier in the bar basement shows up again.
Mm-hmm.
He's back in werewolf form.
Yeah, so he's a werewolf now, and he's talking normally too. He's like, yeah, so I'm a werewolf. And then
Yeah, he has a totally normal voice.
And then Zev shows up, the big bad. He's wearing this big gray, furry, fluffy costume.
Yeah.
And he's got a gun and tries to shoot the two Marines. And then Dave takes a bullet.
it's a very confusing.
Sounds like a story that like a 5-year-old wrote.
Yeah, but
They're and then the werewolf shows up with the gun.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It doesn't stop there, because then the witch shows up and is like blowing like fart smoke at them. That's what it looks
shooting like
like.
fart lasers all over the place. And people need to remember, this is all in front of like a static, flat green screen.
Well,
Yeah.
and also they're both in frame, so they're all like 2 feet in front of each other.
Yeah.
They had to both be in frame at the same time.
Yeah, and he's hanging, and there's like a kind of CG fart cloud element that she just keeps
And
throwing
she's like
at him.
floating. One of them's floating. Oh boy. I guess that's why they needed to be on green screen.
It's insane. Yeah, this
Yeah.
whole scene is just absurd.
And what's absurd is not just what you're seeing, but it's the confusingness of it. You can't
Yeah.
get oriented, and it's hard to tell who is who.
But it also kind of like sums up the movie. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
this is why.
I mean, once the climax arrives, the movie takes a long time to wrap up or sum itself up. It's kind of like Return of the King.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Where you're like, is it
Except
over yet?
if Return of the King was set to a fake Hootie and the Blowfish song,
it's only 89 minutes too. This movie.
this goes on. So it's like a wrap up, and they defeat Zev, and then,
The witch licks the wounds of Russ in a very I think it's supposed to be erotic, but I was like throwing up because she's licking like this fake blood off of her like arms and chest and stuff. It was like, oh
and it kind of like heals her or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we get to the next day. Hootie and the Blowfish start up. It's not actually them, but it's like
Faux Hootie and the
Blowfish.
Was Hootie and the Blowfish still big in like 2005?
I
don't
think
know.
so. I was aware
What
of
was
them.
Hootie and the Blowfish's big song?
I only want to be with you.
Oh yeah, didn't they do? Oh man, I think I'm
Wait,
thinking
that
of
sounds like Pearl Jam to me.
I wonder if they actually could have gotten Hootie and the Blowfish. Hootie and or the Blowfish.
Hootie and the Blowfish, as opposed to just Hootie as he went through afterwards.
Yeah, but this whole scene is like, it's like when I wake up in the morning and the sun is in my face. It sounds like that. And we're kind of catching up with everybody. It's like, oh, Dave, who we thought was dead, isn't dead.
He's fine. He's perfectly fine.
The I don't know, Marine brother, he's back in human form and is just shirtless for the rest of the movie.
He's
it's
just
very
walking
uncomfortable.
down the street shirtless.
He wants to show off his guns, man.
Yeah.
And his huge belly.
What about Dr. Dan and fam?
I don't even know.
Do we see them?
No. Yeah, they're all at home, aren't they? Oh, no, because like
he's
the
hugging
kid
the wife.
is with the woman who turned him into a werewolf. And we didn't point out, like, Dr. Dan and Fam are so hateful to each other the entire movie.
Well, they're
like, you're a fucking piece of shit.
They're in a bad place right now.
Yeah.
Do we ever see the son again?
I think we do, but I don't think we see the girl.
We do, because he's kissing the girl.
Oh wait,
at
no,
the end.
yeah, you're right. They have like
it's like a far away shot.
So the girl that turned him into a werewolf is nowhere to be seen in the rest of the movie.
No, except for this end part.
very end.
She did her business and then she ran off.
Just like dogs do, right? They do their
All
business.
dogs go to heaven.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, I'm not anti-dog, but I am pro-cat, so you got to keep that in mind for all of my werewolf-related opinions.
Oh, okay. So we should take it with a grain of salt then.
You're biased.
No, yeah, and it ends with musical tribute to Hootie and the Blowfish.
But then there's a kid eating cereal. So
what was up with that?
Okay, what was going on? And then the monkey is eating the cereal.
This is so weird.
It ends with a monkey.
So this is the witch's house. I just realized
Yes.
it. Athena the witch.
Right.
I guess it's the kid that was being chased by the hunters at the very beginning. We cut back to him, and I guess.
But it feels like that something threatening is going to happen.
Well, the music is very threatening in this scene.
And then it's just like a monkey is eating cereal, and no one should own that monkey. Like,
I'm telling you, that
residentially.
woman owned that monkey, and they were just like, put it in the movie.
Yeah.
He's probably got a few other things.
Hootie and the Blowfish were like, we'll write a song for you, but you need to pay us in one monkey.
So
Gotta take it on the road.
Hootie and the Blowfish and the monkey.
And the monkey. They would get so many more people.
Yeah, they're going on tour.
Yeah.
Little IKEA monkey.
They had to.
Does
put
anybody
IKEA
outside of
monkey down.
Toronto remember the IKEA monkey?
The IKEA monkey was a worldwide phenomenon.
Yeah, it's true.
Do not look up where he is now. He is very miserable and big.
That was so funny when that came out.
Oh, so they didn't put him down.
I feel like we've talked about IKEA monkey before on the podcast.
It comes
Have we?
up. It's part of our cultural heritage.
We haven't talked about Ken Bone if we're talking about like weird washed up memes.
Ken
I don't
Bone?
even
remember Ken
remember what
Bone?
that is.
He was at like a question and answer period for Hillary and Trump.
You
don't remember
the
this
name
guy?
sounds familiar, but I don't.
I mean, it's an amazing name.
Ken Bone? I don't remember.
Well, I'll have to look up after this.
All right.
And the big thing was that like he did a Reddit Q&A, like Ask Me Anything, but like people looked at his account and he like posted a lot on porn forums.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, he's just a hot-blooded American. Nothing wrong. Anyway.
Well, I'm sure I forgot it, but Justin, did you say what you liked the most about this movie?
I did. Yeah, it's people's eyes turning into werewolf eyes.
I keep forgetting it. So this movie is a treasure. It's on Amazon Prime. Although this is advanced viewing. Unless you really like bad movies, and like very, very like no budget, like incompetent movies. Mm-hmm. But if you like B horror movies, I think this would be for you. But
it's really funny.
Just because it's on it, if you're curious, watch the bar scene on Amazon Prime. That's really all you need to see.
Or there's probably clips on YouTube, I think.
I can't imagine this would be fun to watch by yourself.
I don't think so. Yeah, get a few friends.
I mean, I watch it by myself. I had a smile on my face and laughs would escape like every 10 minutes.
That's good.
I would recommend putting on subtitles.
Yeah.
That's just me, because the audio is very bad from shot to shot. It's the cam mic. It'll change sometimes.
Unless you're trying to learn a New England dialect, in which case you want to immerse yourself in it and take it.
Awesome.
A lot of times it's like, that's what they're saying? you know. I think that Riff Tracks just released a Riff Tracks for this movie.
Right.
Which is a thing that exists.
Yeah.
If you're into that.
I'm not.
I think we've given our thoughts before on Riff Tracks, but if you like that kind of thing, you would probably like that.
If you're a dad, 50 years and up.
It sounds like you got sued by Riff Tracks or something like that, and you're like, I don't want to say too much.
I used to listen to some Riff Tracks.
You know our position on Riff Tracks.
We signed a non-disclosure. We're not allowed to bring it up.
I mean, yeah, all that Mike Nelson stuff that came out, the stuff that's been known publicly for a long time, and it's like, oh no.
What? You didn't know about that?
What, you haven't followed that?
I got 2 things to look up after this podcast.
Oh yeah, Mike Nelson has always been very religious, and he had a religious podcast with Doug TenNapel, the creator of Earthworm Jim, and it was a real piece of shit podcast. I mean, that guy's a piece of shit. Yeah, and I mean, Mike Nelson has the same opinions as him. Yeah. So, oh boy. Yeah, go look it up. It'll make you feel sad.
Yeah.
Lycan Colony.
Available on Amazon Prime.
Get it before it's taken off. I mean, I've heard Len Kabaczynski was posting on Twitter that a bunch of his movies are getting removed from Amazon Prime due to the quality police. So I don't know.
Like if they're not 1080p or stuff like that, or I don't know. Audio is peaking. That's a big deal that they don't like.
Oh God! Well, this movie isn't going to last very long if that's the case.
Awesome.
I would get it while you can.
Okay, so that's it for Lycan Colony. Check it out. If you want to email us, we're at nosuchthingasabadmovie@gmail.com. Check us out on Patreon. We're at patreon.com/nosuchthingasabadmovie. We just released a feature-length Spawn episode, a movie that Colin worked on, has a little bit of behind-the-scenes info about.
A blow-by-blow of Colin befriending Marilyn Manson at the Toronto premiere of Spawn.
Yeah, and just something... a little thing I wanted to plug. If you like weird found items, odd videos, such as on like Everything is Terrible or Found Footage Fest, there's a new documentary coming out called A Life on the Farm, I believe it's called. Basically, someone found these weird videotapes of a crazy old man on a farm who filmed himself talking about very strange things involving farm animals. That didn't sound good.
Nothing.
It's a sequel to Zoo, the documentary about bestiality.
No, he's more just like telling stories, but he's also like, there's like skits and he's like talking to the camera.
Wait a minute. Are we receiving some sponsorship money for this, April?
No, but the DP of the movie is a listener of our show, and they've been featured on Found Footage Festival. If anyone watches that show, which me and Colin have been really, it's been helped us get through quarantine. I would put it that way.
Yeah, it's been keeping us sane.
Yeah, so they're producing the film, but they have a Kickstarter right now, and they're only about a third of the way funded. So if you want to see a weird documentary about these very strange videos that were found on an old VHS tape, maybe consider donating to their Kickstarter. It's going to be like a best worst movie type thing. I don't know if I said
Winnebago
that.
Man or something.
Or like Winnebago Man, yeah. Want to tweet at us? We're at No Such Thing Pod, and I'm at April Atmansky.
You can follow me on Twitter at Decloux, DECLOUX and the letter J, or on Letterboxd, just Justin Decloux, or listen to me every week on the Important Cinema Club podcast or the Bay Street Video podcast.
You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Sergeant Zima, SGTZIMA.
And that's it for this week. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I'm April Atmansky.
Are you?
I was going to say something else. I got
kind of forgetting. It's because the moon is full and you're transforming.
Who came back
Justin
through that door?
Decloux.
Yeah, I'm a werewolf now.
I was going to say I'm Sergeant Zima. Jesus.
Yep.
I'm Colin Cunningham.
And remember, there's no such thing as a bad movie. Oh. That's all we got.